Number 10. Butchery in the backyard. A young woman was left bleeding and traumatized after being attacked by a ferocious butcher bird. It happened at about 1 p.m. on October 10, 2020. 25-year-old Amber Bitzer was in the backyard of her house in Barton, west of Brisbane, Australia, minding her business, when the bird swooped in. Butcher birds, related to magpies, are savage murderers that feast on smaller birds, reptiles, and rats. They are called butcher birds because of their ability to rip flesh apart and impale the victims using either sharp twigs, thorns, or wires. Bitzer and a friend were looking for an area in the yard to lay out and get some sun. Just as her friend walked back to the house, the butcher bird came out of nowhere and struck Bitzer in the head. Her friend walked out to find her with blood gushing from her forehead and screaming. Her friend quickly took her to the hospital, where doctors treated the wound just below her hairline. Bitzer said nothing like this had ever happened to her before, and she's now afraid to even hang out in her own garden. She added that, in another instance, one of her bold housemates went outside to hang her laundry, wearing a bicycle helmet and sunglasses, but that didn't keep the nasty bird from striking again. The unusually mild weather arrived early that spring. Locals refer to this time of the year as swooping season. According to the website Magpie Alert, there had been at least 280 attacks in Australia since mid-June that year alone. Number 9. Angry bird. While the previous attack happened in someone's backyard, this one was well within the walls of a cafe. In August 2021, an unsuspecting woman was left terrified when yet another vicious butcher bird decided to poke her eyes out while she was having a quick breakfast. Debbie Jones was breaking her fast at the famous Burley Heads Cafe when she decided to share her toast with local wildlife. As Jones tried to finish her meal, the bird swooped in and delivered a single hard peck to her eye. She was left in excruciating pain that required a trip to the doctor's office. Miss Jones told 9 News, "It just assaulted me in the eye. I started running down the road, blood streaming down my face. Doctors said the bird's beak was just centimeters away from blinding the woman. They swished my eyes out with saline fluid and gave me an injection, and now I'm wearing an eye patch and wandering around like a pirate at work," she said. As the swooping season approaches, Beth Hall of BirdLife Australia's Gold Coast branch has encouraged people not to feed magpies. If they're attacking or swooping at you, wear sunglasses and don't look them in the eyes, they added. The authorities instructed restaurants and cafes to put up signs discouraging bird feeding. Number 8. Offensive ostrich. In August 2018, visitors at a Russia zoo watched in horror as a full-grown ostrich assaulted a zookeeper. The zookeeper had entered the bird's enclosure to feed the birds, lost his footing, and tumbled over. And that's when the ostrich went nuts. The zookeeper started to fight it off as the massive beast kicked him repeatedly and gnawed him with its long, sharp claws. After the bird lost interest, it then charged towards a zebra standing by the enclosure and glided away into dramatic footage. People were heard saying that the bird must have gone insane. The unidentified zookeeper picked up his hat from the ground and limped out to safety. It was reported that he had a few broken ribs, but was otherwise able to make a full recovery. The attack was covered by Russian news channel REN TV, which quoted one eyewitness saying the bird was flinging him for a while. According to some reports, the male ostrich might have mistaken the guy for a rival during the mating season, while another report claimed he enraged the bird by accidentally poking it with the mop's handle. It might surprise you to learn that ostriches can easily kill people and even lions with their sharp claws, so the ostrich might be flightless but not fightless. Number 7. Unflappable. In 2020, social media went abuzz when footage of a magpie attacking an Australian reporter moments before he went on air surfaced. The incident spurred comments about how things could have been a lot worse. A magpie flew directly into 9 News' Melbourne senior reporter, Britt McLeod, as he was getting ready for a live broadcast outside the Parliament House about how COVID-19 restrictions were settling down in the city. The disturbing footage showed the bird dive-bombing into the reporter and viciously pecking at his face. However, the experienced journalist quickly regained his composure and delivered his report. News anchors in the studio dubbed him to be unflappable. Every year, Australians are informed that magpie swooping season has come, with a unique website documenting swooping attack sites and incidences. Locals are advised to wear sunglasses or carry an umbrella when going outside to avoid being attacked by the bird. Number 6. God's wrath? Bird revenge and other animal stories are always a little freaky. However, such incidents do occur. In February 2022, in India's Chitradurga district, locals started to complain about a crow that targets adults. For 6 long months, residents of Obalapura village have been battling the wrath of a crow. Locals say they can't even stroll through the area. They have to run rather than simply walk through the streets. Nobody knows exactly when it all started, but several villagers recall being attacked by a random crow. The crow is known to swoop down and peck hard on the head of anybody who trespasses its territory. The attacks are so brutal and unexpected that people have to sneak through alleyways like some kind of spy character. And it's not just the people. The crow has also damaged any glass cutlery or window panes it finds in the vicinity. Crows are symbolic in India. The locals believe that it is God's way of showing his displeasure for not having restored a nearby temple. In an interview, one of the villagers said, "The crow seems hell-bent on destroying us. My neighbor needed 3 stitches on his head. Our motorcycles have shattered mirrors because the crow destroyed them all." Surprisingly, the crow doesn't go after children, which you would think would be easier targets, but that's a good thing. The desperate villagers have complained to the forest officials, but no action has been taken. Number 5. Wedding Owl. Guests at a wedding in 2018 burst into laughter when a barn owl who was supposed to deliver the rings to the bride and groom chose to assault the groomsmen instead. The owl was hired to be the ring bearer at Jenny Arrowsmith and Mark Wood's wedding at the Peckforton Castle in Cheshire. At first, everything seemed fine when the owl flew down the aisle and landed on the best man's arm. However, the owl clearly objected to the ceremony when it suddenly turned on the second best man and knocked him out of his seat. The wedding photographer captured the hilarious moment and said, "The owl just chose to go after him for no apparent reason, and he was afraid," he said, referring to the best man who got smacked. The owl then perched itself on the table used for signing the wedding register and beamed at the crowd. He seemed proud of himself. "It was a beautiful day for us both and has given us amazing memories we would never forget," the bride said, adding that the incident was simply hilarious. "It's one of the greatest moments I've ever witnessed," one of the guests stated, and there is no reason to believe otherwise. Number 4. No filming. In 2011, a team of BBC filmmakers shooting in Venezuela's remote Orinoco rainforest got themselves in trouble when they slipped the camera into the nest of the most giant and most powerful eagle known to man, the harpy eagle. The team was filming a documentary on elusive birds of prey and their chicks. However, nothing could have prepared cinematographer James Aldred for a 20-pound female harpy eagle's defensive swoop. The massive bird knocked him out and sent his communication equipment crashing down to the forest floor. Aldred is extremely lucky he escaped with minor injuries. Harpy eagle's talons can grow up to 5 inches long. Eagle specialist and documentary producer Fergus Bealey said, "The harpy eagle astounds me. These are brilliant animals. To kill monkeys, they must be as smart as they are, outwitting and ambushing them. It is undeniably the most powerful eagle on the planet. Its wrists and feet are the same sizes like mine." The species is reported to frequently attack red howler monkeys, and perhaps the young of little brocket deer and minor prey like sloths and various birds. Aside from Aldred, the female harpy eagle also struck one man in his side and tore another's leather thigh protection. Most birds of prey are afraid of people, but this just isn't. Bealey explained after his team installed a nest cam. Dealing with wildlife always comes at a risk. The film crew had to wear protective gear such as helmets, stab-proof Kevlar vests, and elbow and wrist protection while filming on platforms 160 feet above ground level in dire humid conditions. Number 3. Killer Cassowary. In 2019, a man in Florida was attacked and killed by a cassowary. According to the Alachua County Fire Rescue Department, the cassowary, which is a large flightless bird native to Australia and Papua New Guinea and is very similar to the emu, killed a man on his farm near Gainesville. State wildlife officials said the victim, whose identity was not revealed, was breeding the birds. It appeared to have been an accident. According to my understanding, the gentleman was near the bird and collapsed at some point. He was attacked after he collapsed. Deputy Chief Jeff Taylor told the publication. With black body feathers and vivid blue heads and necks, these mighty birds can grow up to 6 feet tall and weigh up to 130 pounds. The San Diego Zoo's website says cassowaries have 4-inch thick long dagger-like claws on each foot and are referred to as the world's most dangerous bird. With a single fast kick, the cassowary may sever any predator or potential threat. The cassowary's powerful legs allow it to run up to 31 miles per hour. Cassowaries are not farmed for food in the United States, but it has drawn the interest of several collectors interested in them. but let this be a lesson to anyone that wants one as a pet. They are extremely vicious. Number 2. Swan attack. According to TMZ, a man named John Walter had a strange encounter with a giant swan while he was out on the greens of a local golf course in southern Georgia. It happened in June 2021. A swan approached Walters on the 9th hole as he was lining up his putt. Apparently, the swan wasn't liking the way the guy held his club. It leaped up and began jabbing at the golfer as soon as the man sank his ball. Walters exclaimed, "Ow!" trying to ward off the irritated bird. Despite his attempts, the swan spent a reasonable amount of time trying to pursue him. CCTV footage shows Walter's friends and family giggling while he struggled to fend off the agitated bird throughout the wild encounter. Walter's daughter revealed that the swan is a regular visitor of the Georgia Golf Club and lives in a pond near the course's 9th hole. Several golfers have known the swan to be violent and extremely possessive of its territory. Number 1. Magpie experiment. In 2020, a woman named Amber was enjoying a day outside riding her bike when suddenly a large bird swooped down at her. It wasn't the first time something like this had happened to her, and she wanted to test what makes the birds attack. So she put a camera on her bike to record her experiment. The film was shot in Australia, and the terrifying bird was identified as a magpie yet again. Did you know magpies won't swoop at you if you're looking at them? Amber had apparently been assaulted by a local magpie before, but she wanted to ride her motorbike without fear. She followed different methods to keep the magpies from striking her, like wearing a helmet, placing fake eyes on the back of the helmet, and sticking branches in it. After putting different methods to the test, Amber learned that the branches did deter the birds, but the fake eyes didn't work. Turns out that trick may just be a myth. Thanks for watching. Would you rather get attacked by an owl on your wedding day or get knocked out of a tree while filming a career masterpiece? Tell us which would be worse in the comments below, and don't forget to subscribe to the channel. See you next time!